Okay, let's just jump right in. You've seen it everywhere, right? The term AI agent. It feels like every new app, every new feature is being called an intelligent, autonomous agent. But what if I told you that most of what you're seeing isn't one at all?
And I mean everything. Your chatbots, your fancy workflows, even some pretty basic scripts. They're all getting slapped with this shiny new agent label. It's the hottest buzzword in tech, and the hype is just off the charts.
But here's the thing, the secret, if you want to call it that. The vast majority of these so-called agents, they just plain aren't.
So what are they then? Well, most of the time, it's just good old-fashioned automation with a slick language model layered on top. In this explainer, we're going to cut right through that hype and break down what's really going on.
So to really get what's going on, we have to go back to basics. And it all starts with the foundation of so much of our tech, automation.
Think of automation as a super obedient robot following a very strict recipe. It's totally predefined. You set the rules. It's deterministic, so the same ingredients always make the same cake. And that makes it wonderfully predictable. No surprises here.
You see this all the time, like with your email. An email lands in your inbox, right? That's the trigger. The system then follows its little script. Okay, classify it, then shoot back a canned response. It's pure, if this happens, then do that.
So when you boil it all down, automation is built to answer one question, and one question only. What should I do when this specific thing happens? It's all pre-programmed, it's reactive.
Okay, now let's flip the coin and look at a real AI agent. This is a whole different beast. You don't give an agent a list of steps. Nope, you give it a goal. It then has to choose how to act, and, this is key, it has to adapt when things inevitably go wrong, all while navigating a world full of uncertainty.
And that totally changes the question the system is asking itself. It's no longer, what do I do when X happens? It's, okay, here's my goal, and here's the world right now. What is the smartest possible thing for me to do next? See the difference? It's proactive, not reactive. That's the core of agency.
All right, so we've got the basics down. Now let's really dig in and pull apart the 4 key things that separate simple automation from a true agent.
First up, and this is the big one, steps versus goals. With automation, you're the puppet master. You spell out every single step, every instruction. With an agent, you just point to the finish line. That's the goal. The agent has to figure out how to run the race all on its own.
Number 2, how predictable is it? Automation is deterministic. You put the same thing in, you get the same thing out, every single time. Super easy to test. An agent, on the other hand, is probabilistic. You could give it the same problem twice, and it might come up with 2 totally different but still valid ways to solve it. That's not a bug, that's a feature. It's its way of exploring. Okay, number 3 is a dead giveaway. What happens when things break? Automation. It fails loudly, it hits a wall, stops dead, and screams for help. But an agent, it's designed to fail quietly. One tool doesn't work, fine, it'll try another. The path is blocked, it'll try to find a new one. If your system can't recover by itself, it's not really an agent.
And last but not least, number 4, memory. Most automation has the memory of a goldfish. Each time it runs, it's a completely fresh start. An agent, though, needs memory. It has to remember what it's tried, what worked, what didn't, and how close it's getting to its goal. Without that memory, you just have a script, not true agency.
So, okay, we get it. There's a difference. But, so what? Why does this all matter? Well, it matters a lot, because confusing these two things isn't just about marketing. It has some pretty nasty real-world consequences.
Look, when you call a brittle automation an agent, you trick people into being overconfident, thinking it's smarter and more robust than it actually is. That leads to fragile systems, totally misaligned expectations, and you know what happens next? People get burned and they start to lose trust in AI as a whole. It puts users in a really frustrating spot. They're told, hey, use this amazing new AI agent. So when it hits a tiny, predictable snag and just breaks, they're left scratching their heads thinking, wait, if this is so smart, why can't it handle that?
And the answer is so simple. It's because it was never smart in that way to begin with. It was never an agent.
But listen, this is not about saying one is good and one is bad. That's the wrong way to look at it. An AI agent isn't just a better version of automation. It's a completely different tool for a completely different job.
And this right here is your cheat sheet. If your world is predictable, if the rules are clear, and if you absolutely cannot afford for things to go wrong, you should stick with automation. It's the right tool.
You only bring in a true agent when you're dealing with chaos and uncertainty, where being flexible is way more important than being perfect.
Okay, so let's boil this whole thing down. I want to give you a super simple rule of thumb you can use anytime you hear that AI agent buzzword.
It's this simple. If the system is just following the steps a person gave it, it's automation. But if the system itself is deciding on the steps to reach a goal, now you're talking about a real agent. Seriously, everything else is just branding.
Look, real agentic AI is coming, and it's going to be a game changer. But it's not magic, and it's definitely not everywhere yet. It is so important that we call things what they are, not what sounds cool. Because at the end of the day, understanding what something is will always be more valuable than the hype about what it could be.